Welcome to our channel. My name is The Whisperer, and today's story will be We're Not Alone. So, let's start without wasting our time. The last survivors now sat together in a vacant hotel room when suddenly there was a knock at the door. All of the color on Eden's face flushed away. Elder was dead asleep. Craig looked at me, and I at him. And without a second's hesitation, I rose from my chair as swift as a soul does when leaving the body. "We're not alone," Craig whispered as he stepped over Elder. I gave him a nod towards the door to lead the way. My heart was pacing rapid, but my thoughts were as still as a dead breeze. Poised and ready, Craig peeked through the peephole. Instantly, he collapsed. The knock came once more. Without looking away, I whispered over to Eden to wake Elder. And innately, my curiosity drove me onward. As I began to step forward, I recalled a quote I had read some time ago. It read, "Smart people learn from their mistakes. But the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others." As much as I had a desire to peep through the door myself, I had just as much of a desire to avoid what happened to poor Craig. I stopped just before reaching the door. I had to think. And fast. "What's going on?" Elder asked, half asleep. Eden immediately shushed him and pointed to the door. "There's something out there," she whispered anxiously. It had been several months since we last had contact with any other life. What awaited us on the other side of the door was unknown, but one thing was certain: we had to leave, and now. "Grab your things, we're leaving," I said to them through clenched teeth. "What about Craig?" Eden asked. Elder expressed only perplexity, for he had missed the entire ordeal. "He is now as dead as Elder was during his slumber," I solemnly replied. "We must go." And with that, not another sound was uttered. We collected our few belongings and made our way out through the back window. Eden went first, then Elder, and finally myself. As I was halfway out and over the opening, I could hear the door creak open and what sounded like Craig's body being dragged across the floor. I did not look back, but only hastened my step. Outside it was cold and dark. A hint of death in the still air. We moved like thieves in the night, silent and agile. Our only goal was to survive the night, like it had been the night prior and the night before that. All was the same, except we were now short a man. "I'm scared," Eden mumbled as we moved into the next building, hoping to find sanctuary. "I understand that," I replied, "but right now I need you to be brave, brave for I and your brother." "I won't let anything happen to you," I reassured her. Whether she believed me or not, I could not say. But at the moment, it was all I had. "I'll take point and Elder will cover our six," and with that I led us in through the dark, wood walls of what I hoped would be a vacant house. What we were up against, I could not say. But I knew that until we figured that out, it'd be best to avoid contact. From what we could tell, we were some of the, if not the, only remaining survivors on the planet, and that included both specimens of animals and plants alike. We cleared the first floor. And as we were about to move upstairs, Eden reached for my hand. I felt her sharp nails cut deep into my flesh. I turned to shine my light on her, and I could see only pain in her soul. Elder was nowhere in sight, and I knew she was about to be next. Attached down at her feet was a tiny serpent-like creature, slithering up and around her body. I refrained from shooting because everything that now plagued our planet seemed to respond to sound. And so I opted for my blade, attempting to pierce through it instead. But almost as if on cue, the serpent disappeared under and into her flesh. It began to drain her of her fluids. I had never felt so helpless in my life. "Kill me, please," she uttered hoarsely. I reached for my rifle and told her I was sorry. The sound echoed throughout the empty house. I knew they were coming. But I would not take the easy way out. I would go out with what fight I had to give. The floor trembled and the sounds of death now shifted towards me. I thought of all the wrongs I had ever committed in this life and wondered what awaited next. Would there be more? Would I ever see Craig, Elder, or Eden again? I could not say, but I sure hoped so. The walls around me began to tremble and fall. Whatever was coming was near, it was here. I beamed my light up and it began to flicker. I could make out only shadows dancing around. The stench was the most horrid I had ever inhaled, stagnant and lingering. My skin was scalding, as if the sun had somehow appeared through this vast darkness and magnified all of its might upon me. I had died once before. Several years ago, in a land far away, fighting for what I thought to be more than myself. The feeling had returned, except this time, I was all alone. Unaware of what I was fighting against and why. I was the last man standing. But as all things that have a beginning, all things too must have an end. I realized this was mine. And I knew I had a choice to make, for we always do. Either put one in your skull and take the easy way out or ride it out and fight until the very end. I opted for the latter, and as I finally laid eyes upon death, I smiled.